Let me go ahead and start this countdown real quick. I think it's your volume is still up too, isn't it, Rob?
Say it again.
Yeah, your volume is still up too. That's okay. That's okay. Usually, sometimes no, you good. Sometimes they will mute you, but we good.
Turn it down some. That helps.
No, man, no. You good. You good. We're gonna keep you talking. You know, sometimes when people tune in, they want to hear the person they're talking to in the background. So no, you good.
Right.
You good. Got 6 minutes. 6 minutes and 30 seconds till we go live.
And we on.
Yes. And hopefully I want this show really to be very impactful for a lot of people.
Yeah, I hope it is. You know, I'm just sharing the stuff that I've learned and the stuff that I know. You know? Yeah,
that's important. I'm pretty sure I'm going to pick up something from this show as well. You know what I mean? So this is the first one for 2022, Rob. You started it off.
2022. Thank you for putting me on the spot.
No, you put me on the spot. You called me out. And I gotta get back to planning some more shows too. I got the next one planned, but I gotta get some more lined up too as well. So
right.
Been doing too much traveling.
Next time you're gonna put something down like Mr. You Got Game, like you remember we were in Jamaica like 6 years ago. That's 7 years now.
Correct.
But that was 6 years ago.
It was 6 or 7. Which one was it?
2015 or was it 2014 in Jamaica?
2013. Jamaica. I think that was 2014 or 2013.
2014,
I'm too sure. Yeah.
That's been a while. I had a good time when I was in this show.
Oh yeah. That was like the best time ever. You know what I mean? I met a whole lot of people.
They told me to get off the horse because I was too heavy for it.
I met a lot of people, especially from Maryland, DC, and stuff like that, and they asked me when am I planning the next trip. So I wanted to go. I wanted to go this year, but I don't know how COVID is gonna. You know what I mean?
I don't even know. I'm gonna tell you a good one. It may not be ready this year either, but I've gone to the Soul Beach Music Festival in Aruba like 3 years in a row.
Where?
The Soul Beach Music Festival in Aruba.
Oh yeah. I went there once. Is that
be a good trip to do?
Is that the black?
As a group.
Is that the black beach week?
Well, they just call it Soul Beach, but yeah, ain't nothing but black people. It was cool though. Every time I'm gone, I've stayed there for about a week, and I usually get like an Airbnb. And if people are willing to ship it, or it comes out so much cheaper, and you have a much better time.
Yeah, the hotel is real expensive. That's what I said. And I did a video for Aruba. I did a video for it. I'll show it to you. I did a clip from when I went there.
That'd be a good group trip. And I mean, we haven't been in 2 years because of COVID, and people are buying tickets, but I don't know if it's gonna happen this year. I haven't bought a ticket yet.
That's why I don't know if it's gonna happen this year.
It's not. It's looking iffy still to me.
That's why I put everything on hold. This new variant is kind of changed everything in 2022.
It really has.
Because more people are catching it in 2022 than
now it's just it's just mutating, and it's just going on and on, and I'm just like, had enough.
Yeah, more people are catching it this particular variant. The other variant didn't really scare me that much, and it should have, unfortunately, but it did not catch the other variant. But this variant, I'm seeing people catching it.
Nobody in your household got sick?
Yeah.
Nobody in your household got sick?
Yeah, yeah, our youngest got it.
Oh yeah? Really?
Yeah.
How you doing?
He's doing good now. He's recovered, so he's doing a whole lot better now. So then I had a whole lot of people at work that too. A lot of friends, co-friends, things of that nature.
Yeah, they shut down some of Fulton County again for Atlanta public schools.
Yeah, that's what they're gonna have to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the South Fulton County hasn't done it, but I South to get into it. I kept did it from home.
Yes.
Because half the teachers wasn't there.
I definitely gotta get back to streaming again because I'm gonna let my audience die down some. So
yeah, you gotta keep it moving. That's what you like, man. You got to keep it moving.
Correct.
you have to. It's just it can be a grind, but you just have to keep doing stuff.
Correct.
I mean, hell, I'm just taking my own medicine because I have to do the same thing when it comes to work. Getting involved in it. Just keep doing it.
Got a minute and 46 seconds left. Yeah, that's what I should have next to me, but that's okay. I'm gonna end up getting cotton mouth and stuff from not having no water.
I had water. I was able to get down the burger before we got on this video. So
okay.
I need to eat.
So don't be burping on the air or anything like that. You know what I mean?
No burping. If I do, man,
it's all good.
I apologize.
It's all good. I'm just talking trash.
I know.
Most importantly is that this video is going to be on YouTube, and it's going to reach out to somebody else that's even the ones that's not in our circle. You know what I mean? And we want it to affect them more than anything. Anybody that looks at it, as a matter of fact.
I mean, I'm just putting out some ideas that I have. I'm not an expert. I'm just an expert in what I've learned.
Well, make sure you say that we go live in a few minutes, okay?
Yeah.
Definitely, but you know what? No one's an expert, typically. Even experts, unless you got a different portfolio to back up what you got, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna make a mistake. Yeah. So you got to back up the back up. But I like the last topic that we're gonna talk about on here. The third one that you brought up, and you probably got a couple of more you're gonna talk about. So you're going to surprise me today, but I'm going to go with the flow, though, okay? I'm going to be ready. 8 seconds left. My man Rob is in the building. Hey. Welcome to the live stream, Mr. He Got Game. I got my man Rob Haskell on here live. Rob is going to talk to us about a lot of stuff today. But first and foremost, I want to thank you for tuning in. It's been a moment. COVID, these variants and everything, it's got everybody kind of set back, but I'm glad everybody's healthy. Everybody's still alive in 2022. This is your year. This is the year of growth. Once again, this is the year of growth. We're going to take where we're at right now. We're going to take it to another level. But right now, let me introduce my man, Rob. What's going on, Rob? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Reggie, man? Thanks for having me on your broadcast, man.
No, thank you for coming on. Thank you for being the first guest of 2021. I want everybody to like and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, like and subscribe to the channel. But Rob is going to discuss some financial and personal improvements for us. The first topic, I guess, the topic of the show is getting to where you want to be both professionally and personally. And what do you mean by that, Rob?
Well, getting to where we want to be both professionally and personally. Now, even though I broke those two things out into two different categories, they're actually very synonymous with each other. Both require commitment, both require focus, and you can't do one without the other. You can't say, I'm going to be the president of the United States without focus, without changing some things that are personal about you, or just honing some things within you. So you might have some gems. Everybody has like a good part of them. Everybody has like a part where habits take over, and those are the things that we have to focus, align, hone, and really sharpen. One of the things about the thing that President Obama did, and just using that as an example, I'm not that he did, but one of the things that was talked about was when he discussed what he wanted to do, when he said he wanted to be president, he would say to Michelle Obama, he didn't talk about, I want to make this policy or I want to be the president or whatever. He had a purpose behind why he wanted to do it. And one of the things he said, one of the big things was women's rights. And he said, women don't have this basic, under this basic fundamental right, this basic fundamental understanding. And that was really, and that's the purpose, and that's where it all starts. And that's why I say both of them are connected together, and you cannot change and catapult yourself professionally without making personal changes as well, and vice versa.
Which one comes first, personal changes or professionally? Which one's personal changes?
Well, actually, it's funny. It depends on where you start. Sometimes you might have an epiphany while you're working. It could be because the door was shut in your face over something that you truly wanted. And you realize in that moment that, hey, something's happening and I'm not getting where I want to get. Typically, we are always forced to change, or as they say, the mother of invention is necessity, right? So we are always forced to change, always forced to evolve when what we're doing at the current stage no longer works.
You're right. You're right. You're right. You cannot grow with constantly without evolving. As you know, I evolved so many times. I didn't went from a
Exactly.
DJ to a host to a photographer to you name it. You know what I mean?
Well, you can make it.
Yeah, there you go. Well, no. My motto is if there's a way I can make $1, I'm gonna go out there and do it. To be honest
Absolutely.
with you, if I have the time, if I have the effort, I'm gonna go out there and do it. So,
Right.
you mentioned taking active steps to grow professionally and personally. What do you mean by those active steps?
So the active steps that you have to take is when it comes down and you've had this epiphany, you've had this motivating thought or this feeling inside you, and you say, I have something that I want to put action behind. You have to take active steps, right? So those active steps are going to be things that are in alignment with achieving that goal. That's just with anything. So if you want to become an author, then you will take active steps, which would be, of course, writing. But also, you need to know what to write about. Secondly, how to write. There is a structure to these things, right? And you should seek, as the Bible say, that wise counsel. So you need to seek wise.
Oh, Rob. I lost my man Rob. Hold on one second. Rob is in the basement at his home, so hopefully I can get him to dial back in. I think his phone dropped, and hopefully he realized his phone dropped. As a matter of fact, let me try to dial him and get him back on the air real quick. There he is. He's calling right back in. Let me get him in. Okay, Rob, you back? Rob.
What happened there? Yeah,
Okay, there you go, Rob.
Can you hear me?
Signal drop. That's all. It's just a signal drop. Go ahead and kick back off where you left off at. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, as I was stating, that when it comes to things like taking those active steps, again, you can't. Once you have that thought and once you have that vision in your mind, you have to make steps to make it happen. And that's going to be either researching, like I stated before we dropped off, I don't know if you heard me, but if you want to become an author, of course you have to write, but you also have to seek that wise counsel, as the Bible says. These are the things you have to do, is taking active steps so that you are now confirming what you agree with, what your mind and your heart agrees with. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, confirmation within. People can tell you all the time that, hey, you play basketball well, or you speak really well, or whatever. But if you don't have that thought in your head, you don't believe it, then you may take it just more so externally. You won't think of those things as you. And you need that confirming belief. You need something within you, and the only place it can come from is within.
You're right. I agree with
it's
that.
Great from the outside, but it has to come from within.
You're right, I agree with you, because in order for me to be the photographer that I wanted to be, and I've always taken pictures, but I want to take photography serious. And the only way I was able to learn photography was I spent hours and hours on YouTube.
Yeah.
Hours on YouTube. You wouldn't believe the amount of time I spent on YouTube looking at multiple
I can believe
videos.
it, though. Yeah.
Now,
I can believe it, because I saw a lot of your photos. Yeah, yes. I can believe it. That takes time. That's not just fly by night,
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought this forefront to my attention, that you want to talk about this subject. And of course, you're the jack of all trades, the singer, the rapper.
Sing karaoke.
Yes. The singer, the rapper. I was going to make you hit a verse or two, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to put you on
not tonight.
Not on the crowd voice. But what's your passion? What made you want to have this particular show? What, pushed you to say, Reggie, this is something we need to do?
Yeah, I think that oftentimes we don't help each other. And I'm not talking about men or women, black or white. Oftentimes we just don't help each other. And it's not because it's out of a mean spirit. It's just that we learn something, we keep it moving, but we don't realize how we can help grow the knowledge that we have and actually get knowledge reflected back to us as well when we do that. We become richer for it. And so where you say, where's the passion behind that? For me, as you know, you had an event probably about 7 years ago. We was at Cafe Circa. Okay. And we all got up and said, what is it that you do? And people were business owners. And I said, well, I do. Yeah, you remember that?
The networking meeting. Yeah.
Right. And so the motivational speaking is where I started. And as I learned and got further into where I was going with it, I finally realized that leadership was my passion. And it took me to unfold where it was, but I had to start there. I knew that what I wanted to do was give something back. And I figured I can at least give what I know. We were talking in the pre-show, as I say, Rob, you did, this show on you. And the thing is, as I said, I'm not an expert on life. I'm just an expert at my life. And we all learn from each other.
Correct.
And
correct.
the thing is that where I've stumbled, I'll try to point out where the potholes are. And if I've mastered something, I'm going to try to also amplify that knowledge to you. And that's what I want, is to be able to help others see something that they can't see around the corner if they haven't traveled or trekked across that terrain yet. And again, I take my own medicine. This is exactly how I live. And so basically just that is my passion, is to help others. And I do it through speaking and leadership.
And I agree with you, because you did reach out to me and say, Reg, this is something you have to do. This is something you have to talk about. And one of the items that you brought up to me was finding comfort during discomfort. Did I word that right? Or
Yeah, it's fine. It's finding comfort during the discomfort, preparing for discomfort, however you want to put it. Because I can guarantee you, when you are looking to move to another level in life, you are looking to move to another another area of life, you're going to be uncomfortable. And what's funny is it's rare for us to want to actually make a move when we're actually comfortable. You're going to be uncomfortable where you are, and then you're going to be uncomfortable along the way. And that's how you know that you're supposed to be moving into something else. If you're still comfortable where you are, I will not be the person to kick you out your nest. But if you know that you are not serving yourself, your
Correct.
knowledge, your abilities where they should be,
Correct.
you need to be uncomfortable.
I get
And
100%.
exactly. You're a smart guy, Reginald, for real. And the thing about it is, there's no way that you can operate at your lower self. There's no way. You would not be able to do it, because you're going to say, I got more abilities than this.
Yeah.
And it's going to bother you until you do something about it.
And it's about
that's exactly
survival.
what
It's
we
about
have to do.
survival too. I have to keep pushing. If I don't do it, nobody else is going to do it.
Hey, there you go. Exactly. So
Yeah.
so you have to be prepared for the discomfort. You're going to hear a lot of no's along the way. You're going to look at people who are going to look at you like, that don't make sense.
Correct.
But it doesn't mean that they mean bad for you. They just don't understand why you're doing what you're doing. That's
They don't
all.
have the same
They just
passion
don't
either that you
understand
have
it.
for the particular thing that you're
Right.
doing.
Don't cut them off. They might learn something by letting them stick around to the ending credits.
Correct. Now, you mentioned how job losses during this, I guess, pandemic, or just a job loss in general, could affect Black men, and
Yes.
having certain job skills or traits, residual income, things of that nature. You want to cover that?
Yeah, one of the things is that trade skills, like for instance, nothing has affected in the history of this country. No other group has ever been more affected when it comes to job loss than Black people, and none more than Black males. And that's just a fact. And the thing about it is that you have to look at things. You have to read reports. You have to notice things so that it helps you to come up with a forecast on how you're going to plan for what you need to do. So going to what you're saying about skills, the Bureau of Labor Statistics says the average salary, and people, this isn't high, so don't. This is where I want to start. The average salary for trade skills is $48,610 annually. That's and these there's a intersection of trade. You're talking about construction, transportation, manufacturing, and service. However, these salaries detail entry-level salaries.
Correct.
It does not consider long tenured skilled labor workers that usually earn maybe in the low 70s, and that's low, to well over $150,000 a year. And this is, as the kids say, there ain't no cap. No cap.
You're right.
That's what you get.
I want to contribute to that, because when I was growing up, I guess I grew up in an era during the tech area where everybody wanted a corporate office job. Everybody wanted to be in corporate America. And, we grew up as kids cutting grass and things of that nature, fully unaware that landscaping could take you so far. I never had the idea that landscaping could take you so far to getting an airport contract, getting a subdivision contract, just getting any
Exactly.
major contract with a company,
Mm-hmm.
making 10
Mm-hmm.
grand plus a month. It's just crazy.
Exactly.
Apartment complexes,
Exactly.
things of that nature. We look down on stuff like that, or at least we have in the past.
And it's because we see an image of ourselves, and there's nothing wrong with that. We just see an image of ourselves, and that image typically, even I had that image. I had an image of like, oh, I'm gonna wear a suit and wear a tie and everything, and go into board meetings and talk to people. And guess what? I ended up doing that. But the thing about it is that you can't discredit the other things. Like, matter of fact, let me stop right there. Up until the till like 1980, 81. If you ask and speak to your grandparents, speak to anybody, old uncles and aunts, you speak to
Yes.
them. Black people did not use the term in most cases unless they were in specialized services like teaching, science,
Yeah.
they took jobs. We didn't use the word career. We had jobs.
Yeah.
We wanted a job
That's
because
still
we
how it
knew
is
that
for
if
me.
we had the skill, we paid the bills, right?
Correct.
And they really paid the bills, and they really made things work. And the thing about it is that yes, we've gotten from that. This is not to discourage anyone from going into tech, as you put. This is not to discourage anyone from becoming a doctor or a teacher or anything. This is just saying expand what you can do, right? So if you want to become a barber, these are skills that people need, especially when suffering job loss. Everybody's driving Lyft, and you got nowadays Lyft is cool. It's in style now. You know what I mean, to drive something and work a job and all these other things. But what's funny is that cutting hair used to be that. Mowing lawns used to be that.
Correct. You know what's crazy now? Service. Service is where it's at because everybody wants to be served. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to be driven around. Everybody wants their nails done. Everybody wants their hair done. They want service is where the money is at. Now, the people, the direction that's tending to go in when it comes to jobs, unfortunately, people are looking more to be titled, what is it? Title and entitlement. You know what I mean by that? Now, unless you have a glorified title or glorified position, no one wants to do the job. No one wants to start at the bottom and work their way up anymore. And I can't understand why, I guess.
Yeah. There's a big playground in those areas, and it's being underserved right now. And it's one of the things that, again, I'm not convincing anyone to drop their passion or their direction. I'm just saying, let's make sure that we learn trades. Let's make sure that we learn these skills that can be very, very useful and can also be income saving at some point in life. Again, as we started off this part of this conversation, where we're seeing job loss, right, through pandemic, through anything. Again, the first segment of people that get hit in most cases when it comes to layoff is going to be black men and black women.
Correct.
Period.
Correct.
You don't even have to look that up, but go look it up if you really need to. I guarantee you. Right. So that's the thing.
No. You're completely right. Now, you mentioned, and I'm glad you mentioned that. You also covered men rebuilding their lives or livelihoods, things of that nature because of certain setbacks like this virus. A lot of people have lost jobs or their positions that they were in are no longer needed. So how do we get to the point of rebuilding, I guess? Let's cover that.
Okay. Right. And so the thing is that now it comes down to saying, was what you're doing, was it antiquated also, right? You have to say, the job I had, is it still viable? Is it still something that is needed? Is it oversaturated? Right? You only need one president for the country. You only need one mayor for each city. So are you in a job where it's super competitive because competitive because it's hard to do the job, or competitive because they don't need that many? Right? In most cases, it's because most of positions that a lot of us strive for, especially the higher up you go in a corporate environment or salary level, it's going to involve fewer and fewer people who are now being vetted for those jobs.
And
right?
more responsibility now also. A job and a half. They're cutting off. They're cutting off for one position, so you can do half of that position as well.
Exactly. So this is where I talk about making sure that, like, making sure that you are directing and self-directing yourself into something that you feel can be good for you, right? So the thing about it is like, let's just say you're into the you're
Hmm.
into the IT world, right?
I
And this
tried
is
to get
what you
into
do,
that, but I'm at this age, my
right?
brain couldn't comprehend a lot of that stuff, especially when it came to networking, ones and
Right.
zeros and all of that stuff. But go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's say you're into that, right? And so the thing about it is that you have to say, okay, am I in a segment of this industry where it's still growing, where is it not growing? It's good that it's growing broad, but also is it growing vertically,
Correct,
right?
correct,
So
correct,
it's like,
correct,
can we
correct.
can we get vertical growth out of this? So the thing that you have to do is you have to say to yourself, where do I stand, and where do I stand in this? Where do I, you know, how do I grow myself? How do I make myself more valuable? Things like that, right? So now you have to start thinking of those certifications. And matter of fact, let me put a pin in that. People
Yes,
don't understand what people in the IT profession can end up earning, right?
yes.
They can earn MBA or higher level type salaries. Okay.
Hmm.
So just so if they don't know that now, please, if you have a kid who's on the fence of going to college or anything, convince them to go into an IT field. I guarantee you, at the worst that'll happen is they'll make a decent salary. That's pretty much the worst that'll happen, right? So the thing about it is, going back to it, it's about what's scalable, right? So when in one of my many jobs in the past, I was with AT&T. I was a project manager there, and I did network. I was an
Yes,
IT network manager, right?
yes, yes,
And
yes.
I did that for quite some time, and I'll say I was pretty successful at it. And the
Correct.
thing about it is that you always had to make sure that you were that you were right into something that could be scalable, something that could keep growing. So at the time, and they're still a very respected and a very important company in networking, and that is with Cisco. So I had several projects for Cisco,
That's
right?
what I was trying to
And
learn. That's what I was
exactly,
trying to learn. Unfortunately,
getting
yes,
getting into that,
yes.
Cisco positioned themselves, and they paired themselves up with a lot of different companies, right? They paired themselves up with Avaya used to be Meridian. Okay, and Meridian was a telco switch company. So they were bought out by Nortel, then they became Avaya. So a lot of people who work in offices, you might see a phone that says Avaya. That's IP networking, right? So the thing is, what Cisco did is they said, we're going to peer ourselves up. So a lot of the other companies that came about and creating their own technologies, Cisco created such a network of their own IP network that they were able to peer up and marry themselves to a lot of other up and coming companies. This made them compatible, and it made them scalable, right? So I use this IT analogy to talk about yourself internally. Are you compatible and are you scalable? Right? So now you're saying to yourself, what am I doing to make myself compatible with the company that I'm either currently with or the company that I desire to work for, or even if it's your own business? What am I doing to make myself compatible with that? And am I scalable? Meaning, if I start here, can I keep going up, or am I
Correct.
going
Can
to
you
be here and
progress?
that's it?
Correct. Correct.
Right.
And Cisco has done a phenomenal job of
Mm-hmm.
covering every
Mm-hmm.
aspect of in the IT field. Every
Yeah,
aspect of the IT field.
exactly. Exactly.
Security,
They've been.
networking.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're moving toward is it what illustration or something like that, which is kind
Yeah.
of
Yes, they are.
geared toward virtual VR, virtual reality. I think is what they're moving
Yes.
toward now. They're covering
Exactly.
that aspect of it as
Exactly.
well. So,
Exactly.
yeah, IT field is a good field to get into because there's so many different directions you can go into. But like I said, anything service, whether it's an automobile mechanic or anything of that nature, people are
Anything.
always
Exactly.
going to need. And I wish I
Gonna
knew that
need.
when I was younger, especially. I remember when I first moved to Atlanta. And
Mm-hmm.
the movie theaters, I don't know about now, and I'm pretty sure they still do. They subcontract their cleaning out.
Yeah,
And this one
they
guy
did.
was telling me, and this was back in 1990, where they were paying
Way back.
people, yeah, where they were paying people
Mm-hmm.
2,000 or no, it was like 4 or 5 thousand, yeah, $4 or 5 thousand a month just to get the blowers that we blow
And cleaning.
the leaves
Wow.
with, yes, to go from the top of
Crazy.
the theater to blow the popcorn and everything down to the bottom and then just sweep it up. You know what I mean? But the people that got the contract weren't doing it. They were hiring, Hispanics or anybody want to do that for $4 or $5 an hour, and so they were grossing $4,000, and they were keeping about $1,500 just from having a contract itself.
Exactly. Yep. And that right there is something that is. I mean, I know that theaters. I don't know how they operate, but I do recall seeing those people. Even in office buildings, you got cleaning crews that come in there.
Right. Look at the banks. Look at the banks. The banks have it. The banks have people that go in there. You go to the bank early in the morning and you're driving by and you see the cleaning company coming out.
They're right there.
Yeah,
they're right there.
The company coming out. So there's a lot of money in service jobs. Service jobs are never going to go nowhere because people constantly want to be served. People want to be catered to. Now, financially, get some. Let's talk about finances, okay? Let's knock that one out the way. Make some suggestions and some advice regarding finances.
So what do you want to know about shmoney or money?
Well, let's talk about money. Let's talk about money. After a certain age, I wouldn't say older, the older you are, but it should be at any age. But after a certain age, after a certain amount of time, when you're working on the second half of your life, you got to put financial responsibility in the forefront. You got to plan for retirement. You got to, no matter what you do, you got to put something to the side because money isn't always going to be there. You know what I mean? So
that's true.
And
the thing about it is that when you're starting to put money away and you're thinking about retirement, you're thinking about that last part of your working life, and you're saying, okay, I'm going to shut this thing down at this age. Yes, you have to forecast what you're going to need, right? Statistics show that you will need somewhere around 68 to 72% of your salary that you earned, your last salary that you earned, right? So, and that's because there are fewer things that you'll have to do, which is you'll cut down on auto maintenance, you'll cut down on fuel, you'll cut down on clothing costs. There's a lot of lunch. There's a lot of things that you'll cut down on. And it may not seem like you spend that much right now, but trust me, you do. And the thing is, that's what you're going to need. So you start saying, well, what do I have in place? Do I have a 401k in place? Do I have an annuity in place? Do I have an IRA in place? Do I have stocks that I've used to build up as my income? All those things sound great. A lot of times people say, oh, I have a 401k and I've got $500,000 in it. That's great. But the problem is that, once you start taking withdrawals, it's going to take out the taxes that you never paid, right? So now you're looking at, depending on whatever your tax bracket is, from 20% all the way, could be up as much as 34%. So now you're going to be paying taxes on what you never paid taxes because 401ks, as we know, are pre-tax.
Deferred. They're deferred.
So it's deferred. Correct. So it looks good, right? So you have to start thinking of other things. So you have to think of money as supplemental. And what I mean by that is, yes, I know there's common talk where they say, oh, Social Security won't be here when we get older. I don't know that. Nobody knows that, at least from my perspective. And as far as I can tell from what I read, it will be here, right?
Correct.
So let's just go with that. You will earn, so the maximum of Social Security, and right now I'm giving averages because I don't have the paper in front of me, but I think max in Social Security is somewhere around the mid 2000s, could be a little bit higher, a little bit lower. Somebody can correct me on that. And that's if you earned over $106,000 a year for
an extended period of time. What, about 20 years or something like that?
Yeah,
at least 25,
right?
30 years.
Exactly.
Yeah. 25, 30 years, yes.
Right. So, but let's just say you were a median salary earner. Let's say you earned $80,000 or $90,000, and so now you're looking at maybe about $2,200 a month, right? So that's 20. So now you don't make it so hard on yourself. Now what you're looking to do is supplement that income. So now you may say, I need $5,000 a month to live decently in my old age or comfortably. I need $6,000.
Hopefully, I won't need that much.
That's what I'm saying. But here's the thing: I'm just putting the number out, right? I know, right? You may not need that, but you may say, "Hey, I do," based on home costs or you
lifestyle,
may have some,
current lifestyle.
Exactly. Everybody's unique, right?
Yeah.
So this is why you want to make sure that you're also coming up with different vehicles to get money from. Mm-hmm. So the 401k is fine. I'm not telling anyone not to do it. Do it. But things like annuities are great. It's tax time again, right? Nobody's hit 55 yet, but I'll be close. I got one more year and I'll be 55.
I'm close. Hey, check this out. It's not tax time. It's TV time. I'm just
TV
joking.
So exactly right.
Think
But
about the
thing
new
about it
TVs with
is
the
that
tax money. So go ahead.
right. So the thing about it is that most annuity companies will require, if you call them, minimum is typically about a $5,000 investment, right? That's easy for a lot of people during tax season.
Explain
And
annuity. Explain that first. Explain that
yeah,
first.
I will.
Define annuity. But go ahead.
Right. So an annuity is a form of savings that is also governed or run. It's very closely related to insurance in a sense, as far as like the rules is run by, but it's also governed by the SEC and also governed by the Governor's Commission on Finance, or FINRA, if you want to put it like that. So the thing about it is that with an annuity, you're able to put money away and it will grow over time. Now, this is something that you don't have to continue contributing to, but it'll be cool if you can contribute more to it. But you don't have to. You can literally put in a deposit and it will grow.
And,
Usually, go ahead.
And I wanted to interrupt. And I hate to interrupt you. The annuity,
That's
the
okay.
difference between an annuity and a savings account. You put in a savings account, it's just going to sit there. But that compound interest in the annuity is what's going to make it grow. Yes.
Exactly. And that's where I'm going with that. So in most cases, you'll find most companies that offer annuities, you're going to be somewhere in the 8 to 9% in compounding interest range, right? Albert Einstein said it best, which is compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Those who understand it benefit from it. Those who don't pay it, right? So the thing is that with compounding interest, and you put a $5,000 seed into that, you're at 8-9%. In 10 years, you're almost going to double what you put in there.
Correct.
And also what they do is from that 10th year, most annuity companies will guarantee you an 8 to 9% return for those first 10 years on compounding interest. They will guarantee it. After that 10th year, they usually drop it down to about 5%. Then after that 20th year, it'll stay steady at 1 or 2%. Right? So let's just say you're 40 or you're 35. Imagine putting something in there and then just do the math on it. It'd be pretty good by the time you turn 65 or 70 if you let it stay, right?
Yes,
you can continue contributing to it as well. And the thing about it is that's the whole thing about an annuity is that you got that in there, and the only income tax or the tax you're paying on it is the interest. That's what you're doing there. So that's after tax money as well.
Is it kind of equivalent? I'm not going to say equivalent because I know it's totally different to a bond.
It's a little different, but it is quite close to it. It's not in every single way, because the thing about it is that with an annuity, this right here is interest that's being compounded by the rate that's set by Standard & Poor's S&P 500. I got you.
And that's something else I want to cover in the future. And I was trying to cover it last year with my friend Mike. And Mike, you know Mike. I'm not going to say the last name.
I know you're talking about.
Yeah, correct. And I wanted to discuss investing because we as people need to do more investing. I read a book a long time ago, and I just didn't stick with it over 25 years ago. Most of the millionaires obtain their money from either stocks or real estate. Stocks and real estate are the biggest drivers when it comes to money, and so I definitely want to cover investing, real estate, things of that nature, so we can help ourselves as people grow and go to another level. This show, that's a whole new show by itself. We can
talk about that sometime. I'd love to join that, but you're absolutely right.
So Rob, we didn't cover finances. What else do you want to cover when it comes to this particular topic that we're talking about, growing professionally and personally?
Yeah. So one of the things is the first place to kind of start is your concept, right? So I talked earlier about how professionally and personally they're both kind of they're married to each other. They're both handcuffed to each other. But the thing about it all starts with that concept. I said at some point you're going to be faced with something that says someone's going to tell you no, or a door's going to be shut in your face, or there's going to be something where you realize and you're going to find yourself saying, I'm not where I want to be. That may be financially, that may be personally, it may just be the fact internally, spiritually, you may not be where you want to be. And that's going to be the key. That's going to be the key starter or kickstarter to this whole transformation. So the thing is what is your concept? So now we're looking at, is it an internal or an external one? it's the one thing you can bet on when you're goal seeking. And that is, again, you can't make a professional change without making a personal change, and vice versa. So to commit to an idea isn't something you can put on and take off when the spotlight's not on you. It's something you do constantly.
There you go. When the spotlight is off. When the spotlight is off, you got to constantly. 20 minutes ago
into our conversation, you said people don't know the amount of time you put into learning photography and really getting this down, right? Because you're going to put it in. I'll start right there. 2 books that I read where I actually started reshaping the way I thought. And you may have heard me say it before, but one was Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, and another book is The Alchemist by Paul Coelho. Okay. And The Outliers is Malcolm Gladwell's theory. Well, it's not his theory. It's a guy named he's a Florida State University psychologist by the name of Anders Ericsson. He came up with the 10,000 hour rule, or the theory. Malcolm Gladwell's book Outliers expounded on it. Okay. And he did a study based on it, and basically saying 10,000 hours is about what it takes to get good at something, right? Okay. So the easiest people to start with are athletes. You look at professional basketball players. They got that good because they spent countless hours shooting. The parents put them in camps when they were kids, if they could afford it. They spent all this time. People look at Bill Gates and they think that he's just a genius. He's really not. Bill Gates' mother his father was like an attorney. His mother, I think they said she might have been an attorney or a doctor or something like that. But anyway, when he was a kid, they lived in California. His father would take him to what we call now Silicon Valley. And they would go there because he was representing a small tech firm. So Bill Gates was a kid, and he had all this access to technology. By the time he got to Harvard, he didn't need Harvard.
Well, not only that, they said he kind of was involved with the military. The military kind of started the web, and it was kind of ideal that he took from the military.
The military started Sprint.
Yes.
They started Sprint. Well, we know it's Sprint. They started Sprint. And so the thing about it is that he was set to do that. So, but these were the years and the years and the time he had to be able to hone these skills, right?
And like you said,
so there's something. Right. And there's something that you do right now. There's something that I do right now. There's something that a lot of people do right now, and it's unique to them, that they are really, really, really good at, because they've spent that amount of time talking about it, or doing it, or just enacting it out. They've done that. They are good at that, right? And oftentimes we have jobs that have nothing to do with what our true talent is. Or where
what we think we want to do. A lot of times we have this idea of what we want to do because of money wise, or because of how it looks impressively in front of others. And you get into the field, you get into the position, you find out that's not your passion and you hate it.
Right.
But to go back on what you're saying about putting hours and 10,000s of hours in, Kobe was the prime example. Up until the day he retired, he was the first one in the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning, even after playing 15, 18 seasons and still practicing.
He was still doing
preparing himself.
Exactly. And so that's the thing that you have to look at for yourself and say, hey, what is it? When you start to say, what's my passion, or what's the thing I really want to do? Start thinking about things that you know that you do. It might sound crazy to you at first. But what it is not meaning that you have to do exactly that. What it's going to do is it will help send you into your direction as to where you want to go. You either realize that you're on the right road, or you're going to realize you're not navigating the right road at all.
Correct.
Right? And that's where you have to say, okay, what do I do now? I got an idea, I got a concept. How do I evolve this concept, and how do I start? And that's where it goes back to taking those active steps that we talked about.
And you have access. You have access to information, because I was up to 2 o'clock in the morning looking at videos on YouTube. Up until nothing you cannot find a video about on YouTube.
There you go.
You can build a house by looking at a YouTube video, because they cover drywall, they cover hardwood floors, they cover everything. Yeah, they cover everything.
Dude, I got a YouTube story. So I had another house where the basement was an old home, and the wall was kind of curving, and there's too much pressure from the outside. And I had called up all these places on how much it would cost, and I was like, man, I'm not paying that. And I ended up looking on YouTube, and I found the exact same issue somebody else had and how he fixed it. And when I tell you, I felt like a real construction carpenter, whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I saved myself over $12,000
Yes.
by doing that,
Same
and
thing
I spent
happened to
maybe
me.
$200.
Same thing happened to me. My dryer
Yeah.
went out, and it wouldn't spin anymore. And I got a repair guy. I usually get a dryer, my dryer repaired or get a replacement. He was saying the cost was going to be $150, $200, things in the nature. I went
Yeah,
on YouTube, and
yeah.
it was a twisty tie I could buy. You know them little zip
Ain't that
ties,
something?
and it was a $1 zip tie. Fixed the problem. Fixed the
Right.
problem. So yeah, there's a lot of information out
That's
there,
all.
but
That's right. Right. I think I'll just say one other thing. I just think the other thing, one of the things you got to do also is just having a. Some people say support system. Your network. You do need that. Does it have to be large? No. Does it have to be small? No. It just has to be whatever it is for you. Everybody has people who they can rely on when it comes to bouncing ideas off of them. And the reason why you're doing that is because you're looking for unfiltered, unbiased opinions. This because what you're now doing is you're trying to hone what that idea is. Nowadays where everybody's so socially awkward. Not you, but everybody's so socially awkward where they don't talk to each other.
I'm
We
still
talk about
socially
cutting
awkward.
people off all the time.
I'm not as active as I
Cut
used
them
to
off
be.
of this or whatever.
Yes.
And I'm just like, no, because that changes you. You know what I mean? Don't change yourself. Just be who you are. And these are people like I know you got a strong network. I've
And
met them.
attract people
You know what I mean?
you know what I did? I
It's like,
basically dealt with people who were interested in what I'm doing. You're always going to have people
yeah,
that don't like what
that's
you're doing.
it.
You're going to have people that don't like you.
Right.
You focus on the people who like you. You know what they're going to do? They're going to
Right.
bring somebody else around that's like them, that's going to like you as
Right.
well, and it's going to continue to
Right.
multiply. That's going to continue to multiply.
Right. Exactly. I would say another thing is when it comes to also conceptualizing what you got to be tactical versus operational, right?
You're
So
using these
as
big
a
words, tactical versus operational,
no,
corporate words.
come
Go
on,
ahead.
come on, devil dog, come on, devil dog, you know this, you know.
Yes.
So when we talk tactical, it's what we do every single day, right?
Yes.
Short term goals, buying groceries, paying bills, checking in with the families, making friends, maintaining those relationships, and those are all and those short term goals that we might have as others. Operational is what we do in long term, right? So we're going to look at the goal of our careers, our projects, our homes, families, and we ask ourselves, what do I want for all of this? What's funny is in the short term goal is like, what do you want? What do you want from it?
Correct.
And what you want from it is to make sure that you satisfy the checklist, right?
The long-term goal,
But when it comes
correct.
to operational, it's funny because now it becomes a mission, and it's like, what do I want for this? What do I want for my family? What do I, you know what I mean?
The
What do I
long-term goal,
want?
correct.
They say, what do I want for, the home we live in? Now it becomes a giving thing, and that's your long-term operational. Now you're thinking like a boss, right? And now you got to be that boss of your own life, okay? Once so how we get our minds in that mold is that we have to think like leaders. Like we have to be curious. Having a high desire to learn is a key element when it comes to self-improvement. Never thinking you've done enough. You can't think you've done enough. And possessing that desire to act on the possibilities of achieving your goals.
And
that's
willing
really
to
just my keys
sacrifice
to doing
now.
it.
And willing
Yes,
to
exactly.
sacrifice now, because you have to sacrifice now. If you don't sacrifice now, you're not going to achieve. You can't keep putting it off.
That's right.
You got to sacrifice.
That's right.
You got to sacrifice.
And this
Nothing is gained without sacrifice.
That's right, Rachel. And the thing is, that brings you back to the point we made about discomfort and being ready for that. Because you're going to be spending time researching and learning whatever that new discipline is, right? You're going to be challenging what you thought you knew. You also going to humble yourself because you may have had arrogance in some area over something. You're going to be like, I ain't know nothing about that. And now you're correcting yourself. And then you're going to be learning from others who done stepped out in that same pursuit of that goal,
And
because
you're going to lose some
those
friends too. You're going to lose some friends too,
You're
because you're
going
not
to.
going to be
You're gonna
spending
lose some.
time with them as you were spending time before. There's no way you can
Right.
continue doing the same thing you're doing now and get
Mhm.
results. You have to
Mhm.
change. You have to change. Have to change.
Right. I'll come to our next point under that is just like you can conceptualize, you can talk about what your vision is, but you got to find your why behind it, right? And to me, that's the most important thing, is finding that why. And do you know how to define your why? For anybody out there who's done this before, I know you had to find your why, right? This why is what's going to set you apart from everyone else. It might end up being the same why as somebody else's, but it's your why, right? Your why is what's going to help. It's going to it's going to be the same thing that's going to make you take action towards it. One of the most important things of that why is it needs to energize you when you think about it. You need to feel hyped about it. Like, man, this is really what I want. You should feel that way. Correct. You know, one of the most common self-improvement commitments that we see online is when people get fit. They're getting fit. They're working out online, and
it's January. It's January. Yes, it's about to start.
And what's funny is, Reggie, how many times we gonna try to climb that mountain and say we're gonna get fit?
You're right.
The thing is most people begin by saying they want to lose weight. They want to look better. I'm going to get my sexy back. I'm going to look better in clothes, get ready for a wedding or a high school reunion.
Get ready for the summer.
There you go, ready for the summer. But in the end, mostly the people that tend to keep up with it past those first couple months or so of the year, they actually found their why. And it usually has nothing to do with those things that they started off with, What ends up happening is that now it turns into a feeling of accomplishment. They love their newfound ability through that and the ability to, because usually your why, when you find something that's what you want, it's going to bring you peace and focus.
Correct.
They typically find that, and it becomes a catalyst to other goals that they want to accomplish. A lot of people, all they need is one win, man. That's all they need is one win. And because we get older, we work, we go to work every day, we try to make a living, and then they forget how it feels to win something. And to them, winning now just means making it to Friday. But if they can just get one win, man, they're sore. They'll start hitting so many different things. All you need is one accomplishment. That's all you need. It'll open the door to so many other things.
I'm going to reiterate on what you just said. And I'm not in the best shape I used to be, and I'm going to get back working out. And I'm not trying to be in the best physical shape I want to be. I just want to be decent, presentable, things of that nature. But ironically, when you look good, people perceive you good. And it open up different doors. Because, especially when it comes to opportunity, because they figure if you take care of yourself, you'll take care of my business. You'll take care of this. You'll take care of that. You have the ability to focus.
Right there.
Yes.
You said a mouthful right there, and that's the thing. And the thing about it, like you just not said, that's funny that you say that, because you say how it'll make people look at you and say, hey, if he's taking care of himself, and you take care of this. This is where you segue into that integrity, right? Because when you understand that why and you're living by it, you are going to live with integrity. And it's going to be the same thing when you're having hard days and dark times or whatever, and you can't see your way. That integrity is what's going to help you push through. You're going to always want to do the right thing to get it done, because now this is your personal brand. This is who you are. You are not going to sully that for nobody or nothing, right? You'll end up getting so convinced of it that every decision you make is going to be connected to that.
Because the brand is a representation of you. The brand is a representation of you, and you take pride in that particular point.
Exactly, and so those are my talking points on the why. And I just feel that everybody has it. It just comes down to identifying it and a lot more importantly, when you're ready.
Activate it.
Activate it.
Yeah, activate it. Mm-hmm. So is there any other points you want to cover, or are we going to wrap this up into our next show? Or are you going to just try to cover everything? Okay.
Show, I hope that people, so at least one person got something out of it, and I hope it was valuable. But if you want to,
of course,
definitely talk some more again on this, man.
If anybody got any questions or comments or want to reach out to Rob, go ahead and make a comment below so he can respond, so I can get him information. Reach out to me. I'm more open than anything. But Rob, I want to thank you for kicking me in the butt and said, Reggie, you need to get back on your podcast, because there's information out there people need to know. I watch it all
every week. Every time you do it, I watch it.
Yeah. So and I got a good one coming up now. Stephanie's coming up next, and she's been in the car industry for like 25 years. So she wants to talk to women about the do's and don'ts when it comes to buying a car.
Sounds good. Now, that'd be real good. I'm definitely gonna tune in on that one.
Yeah, tune in on that. But thanks again, Rob. I really appreciate you.
You got me.
Any closing comments? Let them know. I don't know if you got an Instagram. I don't know if you do TikTok. How they can reach out
No
to
TikTok.
you. I'm just teasing.
No TikTok.
What?
If you want to hit me on Instagram is Rob ROBBH Haskell, Rob H Haskell, and that's what's at Rob H Haskell. That's my Instagram tag. You can hit me there if you want to email me. That's rhaskell43@gmail.com. All right. Appreciate y'all letting me bother your ears for about an hour. All right. Have a good one.
In the meantime, in between now, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and comment on YouTube. If there's any topics you want me to bring up, any topics you want to cover, inbox me. Let me know, okay? Call me if you got my number. But you can't call me now because I got the phone on silent because it's a